Respected delegates, the speakers, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure and honor that I am being a part of the second annual conference on autism beyond code therapies. It's really a great thought that Dr. Subramaniam has put up, wherein he thought of a topic. When this topic was mailed to me, that is, if you see, it's quite a very huge topic. The path-woven development of literacy in childhood to sophistication in adulthood, with a lot of English frames, English grammar, many variables. So it was quite difficult for me to put things into totality. But still, that's a great thought that he had in his mind, because we all work towards empowerment of children with autism spectrum disorder, and then when they grow, we always worry about the employment, the competitive employment, the wage earning. And as we say, it's transition from childhood to adulthood. We have been listening to transition, like family transition, many things. So transition from childhood to adulthood. Another thing that I want to say is, I do have a copy of what I am going to speak with me. And I have written down many of the things that I'm going to speak. Even I'm going to speak about this gentleman with the beard. I have written down. The thing is, the latest evidence suggests that structure-based education is quite remarkable for people with autism spectrum disorder. And when we talk about structure, if you see, everywhere you have a structure. And I hope we don't break the structure at all. Though there are few of us who would like to break. Some of us do jump off the red signal, because when we see there is no traffic police standing there, we try to jump off the signal. And then at the back of our mind, we come back home, and when we discuss with our family members, we say, I jumped off the red signal. And our family members say, are you crazy? Are you nuts? Nowadays, you have CCTV cameras all over the place. Our family members think so. We know there are no CCTV cameras in the traffic areas. But still, that's a structure that we are talking about. And when we have a structure, evidence and research has suggested that there is a tremendous potential of people with autism spectrum disorder develop, rehabilitate, and get empowered. So ladies and gentlemen, when I talk to you, I will see the guidelines which is kept in front of me to make my friend's job easier. Here I will be taking you through few slides about the type of skills that are required, the factors which affect learning in autism spectrum disorder, in particular the academic part, and the sophistication of adulthood, or the vocational training aspect, or the transition towards vocational training, adulthood, and then leading an independent life. So if you see the first slide, I have mentioned as neuromotor skills. I'm sure all of you, people with speech language pathology, people with physiotherapy, people with occupational therapy, to understand that what is a neuromotor skill. Neuromotor skill is definitely what, nothing else, nerves and muscles. We all know that. To this, I just got a idea, which the assessment which I was doing in my clinic, in my office. And this I was explaining to one of my students. They asked How do we assess a child? You say you have to use the CARS, you say you have to use the Gilliam Autism Rating Scale, or you have to use the psychoeducational profile, many things. But we don't understand the details of it. How do you assess without even seeing any of the scale? I said scales are reliable and standardized tool. We have to go by what is mentioned in the scale. But you don't have to keep a copy of the scale and keep on asking the parent, is your child doing this, or your child does this, or this, or keep on ticking. That is not required, I feel. I'm sure that with practice that comes automatically. But I said, when a child comes to me, I always make sure that I go at the reception and see how the child is coming down. We are placed at Muttukadu. It's quite a beautiful place at the East Coast Road near Bay of Bengal. And when I see the child coming down from the bus, he holds the mother, or the mother holds him. He holds the rail of the bus, comes down. He moves with single step, or he jumps down, and then he comes to the security gate. He fiddles with something. He throws the pen of the security guard. Then he comes. Then he runs. While running, he will touch some flowers, some plants, and then he comes to the reception, and then he comes to the receptionist and shows a hand, and the receptionist understands that he wants a card and then directs it. You see, you have already done the assessment of the child. You have already noted the gross motor skills, you have already noted the fine motor skills, you have already noted the neuromotor skills. Perhaps many things, perhaps the perception, perhaps the touch, perhaps the sensory stimulation, perhaps sensory things, everything you have noted down. The only thing is, we have to remember it, jot it down properly. And if you do for 5 or 6 people like this, I think the data which we are talking about automatically comes out, and you can present more papers like that. So here, the knowledge of neuromotor is fundamental to understanding, and we all special educators, no matter how tough it is to understand what a nerve is, how a muscle functions, what brain does, what all the nerves are involved in the brain, how the connection is happening, we should know all these things. Not for doing any surgery, I'm sure, but to understand. Because if you understand these things, you will be able to feel that what type of hemispheres are involved in the child not understanding certain situations. Why theory of mind is not working. Why there is a executive function deficit. Why there is a weak central coherence. Everything you will be able to understand. And it's quite interesting, brain is quite interesting. I hope the pediatricians who are here, they will be able to give you a better picture about the brain and the development and the nerves and everything. Let us not talk about the brain any further because he's not there. Okay. Next is very important when we talk about skills is cognition and communication. As cognitive linguistic model, which is given by Cherney in 2004, most of our speech pathologists will agree that this is how the model is. Because cognition and communication both work together. Am I right? If you see, it is all intrinsically reciprocated. You have the sensory reception, you have the orientation, you have attention, memory, perception, problem solving, organization, reasoning. And all these integration that happens in the cortical and the subcortical areas. The integration. Sensory reception is a passive process. That is, we receive all the sensory stimulation like tactile, olfactory, gustatory, visual, auditory, proprioceptive, and kinesthetic. It's basically a vigilant and an active direction toward a target. And if you see perception, perception is an active process which integrates the sensory information. Executive function. Executive function is a very important part. It is the basic chief executive officer. Why I say a CEO? Because executive function does the work of solving the problems. I'm sure CEO does that. Thinking, doing many sorts of things, making us realize what is happening. So, cognition and communication are an important factor. So, these are the skills in literacy. Next one, please. The pre-reading, pre-writing, and arithmetic skills. If you see, I have highlighted autism-specific pre-academic skill developmental strategies. I have not highlighted the other one because hierarchy of skills, generic pre-academic skills, and you have the special education pre-academic skills, strategies. These are all general. You know, when we do an assessment, we do first a generic assessment and then we go on to a specialized form of assessment. The gentleman has come.